Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is Denise. Welcome to the channel. And I gotta tell you, I'm feeling pretty relaxed today. Today felt like a really relaxed show of AEW Dynamite. And by that, I mean, it kind of felt a little simple. There were some things that I really enjoyed. Obviously, we had a couple of some big moments. I would say, having Wardlow become TNT champion was a big moment. The Christian Cage promo felt like something pretty noteworthy. But for the most part, I kind of felt like today's show was a show. I think that it was a simple show. Like, there wasn't much that I think that it really gave us. I think in terms of other past Dynamite episodes, I feel like I come in here and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about. I got to get this and I got to get this done. And I don't necessarily feel that way for this episode. I feel like this is an episode that if you probably didn't catch live, or maybe you had work duties or you had something else, I feel this is you can read the results and pretty much be caught up by next week type of episode. But I feel like it was still a good show, just a simple show in my opinion. And we're going to go ahead and talk about what actually went down. But before we get started, I want to welcome you all. Thank you all very much for coming in on a weekly basis. On top of that, for those of you who do not know, this show is an interactive show. Send in your thoughts, send in your comments, send in your prayers, whatever the hell it is, in the chat box, and I will make sure to pull some of those up throughout the show. Additionally, if you want to make sure your question, comment, or statement gets read on the air, 100% guaranteed, you can send in a super chat. Super chats make sure that your comment gets read, and on top of that, you help support this show, help keep me funded. So yeah, let's get to it, everybody. We got our first super chat of the night. This one is from Nick Grasso. Thank you so much to Nick, who says, what's the point of blood and guts if it's not going to end? If it's not going to end a feud, says Nick Grasso. You know what? I think to me, it's more so of just like the way I see it. I think it's, or at least, the AEW blood and guts version, the way that I see it is just a way that, to me, I see it as a way for like whoever is feuding during this moment just to have this big matchup, but I don't really see it as like a team ender or anything, like a stable breaking up right afterwards. I mean, obviously there was some conflict, with Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli, but it's not like it's not like they were, it's not like they were so together prior to this, So I get what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying, but I think to me, I kind of just see it a little bit differently. I see it more as just this, a reason to have this big matchup. And that's the way I'm kind of feel like they've been sort of setting things up for AEW blood and guts. So I don't know if that helps out your answer, but let's go ahead and see what other people are saying about this. Thank you so much, though, for Nick Grasso for getting us started here today. We got a lot of different, questions today, guys. I'm like, questions incoming. But let's go ahead and see what people are saying about this show. This is from Andrew, who says that it was a little slower tonight, but there were some good promos talking about things for the future. Miro versus Malachi. Yes, please. That is something that should be noted. I think that there was a lot of things that are a couple of moments that set up other moments. Obviously, they announced some matches for the Ring of Honor show coming up. They announced matches for Fyter Fest, as they obviously, were bound to do. So we did get a lot of that. And we kind of got a setup, I think, of what I'm expecting to probably be like a short-term tag team with Thunderstorm, with Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. So we did get a couple of things that are going to be leading to other things today. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But let's go ahead and get right into the show. We're going to kick things off with what I think was probably one of the high points of the show. And we didn't really get that many matches today. This is what I thought was a little bit interesting about today's episode of Dynamite, is that usually there's times where so much happens, right? Like so much happens on the show, and I look and I'm like, holy shit, it's already been an hour and we already got like these 6 major things to talk about. I don't think I felt that way on today's show, and I kind of noticed like the lack thereof of matches, because we had Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. Then the next match wasn't until the Keith Lee Swerve Strickland butchered the Blade match. Then the third match, which was Penta and Rush. The fourth match of the night, which was the acclaimed match. And then we had the women's tag somewhere in here. Yeah, the women's tag. And then after that, we had the main event. So even though we did have a nice, I think it was like a total of 6 matches, it didn't feel like we had that many matches today. Maybe because one was very short. I don't know. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of that happening today. But let's get started. Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky, in my opinion, was probably the best thing that we got here today, aside from Penta and Rush, because I thought that was freaking phenomenal too. But I loved this match. I loved Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky. So this was supposed to be a street fight for the TNT Championship. Well, for the TNT Championship, right? And a lot of us knew going into this match that it was going to be Wardlow. Like, this is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. We've been talking about the fact that the buzz for Wardlow kind of went down after the whole MJF situation, and after the fact that he didn't go for the TNT Championship right away. We kind of had to wait for Scorpio Sky to be able to actually defend the championship. So it felt like there was this period where we were just waiting for Wardlow to capitalize off of the events that unfolded at Double or Nothing with MJF. And so it did feel like there was this break on Wardlow's momentum. But today, I think they did a lot of little things that kind of, brought things back for Wardlow. And some of those things included, like, right off the bat, we saw Scorpio Sky really going at it, really going after Wardlow, hitting him with a bunch of strikes. I really liked that. But it was one shoulder tackle from Wardlow, and it instantly brought down Scorpio Sky and pretty much shifted this match. So you had Wardlow essentially do the shoulder tackle. After this, he tossed Scorpio Sky, I think like twice across the ring, which was pretty impressive, because Scorpio Sky, he's not a super big guy, but he's also not a small guy. So it did look pretty impressive seeing Wardlow just pick him up and like toss him across the ring. I really like that. But the big thing in this was that this was supposed to be a street fight. Now, I will argue this, even though I loved this match, I don't necessarily feel that it felt like a street fight. Like, you could have easily forgotten that this was a street fight, period. Because the only thing that really was I would say of a challenge to Wardlow was the fact that Scorpio Sky brought out all his friends during this match. So he had a bunch of guys with them, and so they were getting invested in this match. And so at one point you had like 5-7 guys attacking Wardlow, and Wardlow trying to fend for himself. There was a great moment, though, where everybody tried to go in and take out Wardlow, and Wardlow was just like taking out each and every single guy. I thought that was pretty awesome. But there was even a moment outside the ring where Scorpio Sky literally he gets Wardlow right into the steel steps. And I thought that visual of Wardlow hitting the steel steps, followed by all the guys coming in to like attack Wardlow, that was a pretty cool visual. And the reason that I say that I liked this is because what's one of the things that they've been really pushing with Wardlow is that this guy can fight a bunch of other guys. We saw everything that he did with the securities, where he was just taking them out each and every single week during his feud with MJF. We saw that match where he wrestled 20, 30 plaintiffs. I don't even remember how many it was. And so for me, it kind of feels like they're trying to keep the aura of Wardlow by letting us know, like, this is a guy that can take on multiple guys because he's a beast and he's a monster. And regardless of, being attacked by more than one guy, he's going to come out on top. So I did like that little aspect that was incorporated into this match and into the story. On top of this, there was a moment where freaking Wardlow went to the top rope, did a swanton off of that, got a massive reaction for that. Afterwards, there was a moment too, and there was a moment where Scorpio Sky, and this was another one of my favorite parts, when Scorpio Sky hit Wardlow with the championship belt. He hit Wardlow with the belt and went for the pin. Now, even though I knew for a fact that Wardlow was going to be winning this match, there was a slight moment of doubt where I thought, what shit? Like, what if? What if? Because we all knew that Wardlow was going to be winning tonight. What if they actually don't give it to him? Like, maybe it's the fact that I'm thinking like, fuck, like, what if they actually, do this to the people, even though this is what the people want? But part of me thought like, damn, like, for a moment, what if? And I kind of like that though, because even though it didn't happen, I liked it because it gave me a little bit of doubt. And so when that near fall happened, you can tell that a lot of the people kind of felt that way because everybody had the reaction. Like everybody popped when Wardlow actually kicked out of that. And so that was a really good moment in this match. In the end, obviously, Wardlow hits his, powerbomb symphony, gets the win, and finally becomes TNT champion. Explosion of confetti everywhere. And I really liked this. Granted, it didn't feel like a street fight, but I still liked the match for what it was because of all of those little things that they incorporated into it. And I'm so excited for Wardlow to be champion. I do feel bad for Scorpio Sky in the sense that this moment of him being champion and the fact that they even gave him like more of a custom championship bout with the purple and the gold and all of that for the Lakers and Kobe and Los Angeles and all of that. It kind of feels to me that unfortunately, I don't know. I wonder if it feels to me that Scorpio Sky was meant to be champion for a longer period of time, but because Wardlow got so hot coming off of that MJF feud that they had to pivot in the direction of Wardlow. But it kind of seems to me like Scorpio Sky's run as TNT champion wasn't necessarily meant to go the way that it did. Obviously, he also had to, work through, take some, he took a couple weeks off, for injury related issues and all of that. But it feels to me that Scorpio Sky was probably meant to be champion a lot longer. And I do kind of feel bad because when you go back and you think of Scorpio Sky's run as TNT champion, I don't really remember much. Like there really isn't much to remember from that. And on top of that, I kind of feel like, the back and forth that happened with Cody and Sammy Guevara and the interim TNT championship, I feel like even though Sammy was having some good matches and, his match with Cody Rhodes, which ended up being Cody Rhodes' final final match in AEW, that was a banger. But after that, it kind of did feel like a little bit was lost from the TNT championship in terms of it really feeling like super, super special the last couple of months. And so now that Wardlow has the championship, I kind of feel like this is the opportunity to get that TNT championship like back on the forefront in terms of what it felt like when, when Darby had it, even when Miro had it. And you can argue that Miro's run was very short too. But anyways, I got into a whole tangent here because there's so much to discuss, so many different topics that we can go in here. But guys, what did you think about this? How do you feel about Wardlow now as TNT champion? It officially happening. Do you have any dream matches, or more so like what is the direction that you hope that they go here with Wardlow as champion? Let's see what people are saying. This is a super chat from Manuel Cifuentes. Thank you so much to Manuel, who says interruption promos and the whole taking the mask off of Penta is really getting annoying, Denise. He deserves better, and Mox needs a direction ASAP. Well, I'll touch on the Mox thing right now because clearly he wasn't meant to be champion right now. Like this was not supposed to be, happening. We were probably supposed to be having, still CM Punk as a champion. So he does need a direction ASAP. And I'll share more of my thoughts in terms of the match with Brody King later on here tonight. But I completely agree with you in the sense that it doesn't feel, I don't know how to say this, but it doesn't feel, I don't know how to word it. It can feel like a bigger deal is what I'm trying to get at. Like Jon Moxley as interim AEW World Championship needs to feel like a bigger deal. And, I don't think it felt that way after Forbidden Door. I think there was a lot of people that were kind of thinking, you know what? they might have liked, and this is not speaking for everybody, but I do think there was a good amount of people that maybe kind of wanted something different with Tanahashi possibly winning the bout. And so I don't know. It kind of feels to me right now like it doesn't have the same, vibe, the same excitement that you did obviously when like CM Punk won the championship. And maybe this is because, John Moxley has held the championship before, but there needs to be more of that because there are so many, I think, creative directions that they can go with John Moxley as interim AEW world champion until CM Punk is, ready and to come back. Because we still don't even know a time frame. At least I haven't heard of a time frame just yet. But I do feel like there's a lot of creative directions and this is a chance right now to take something that was not meant to happen and, do a bunch of cool things with it. So that's where I'm trying to get. I think they could get a little bit more, let's do some shit. Let's get down with John Moxley as AEW World Champion. Surprise me here with some matchups that maybe we weren't expecting. And obviously, one of them already being the match they had with Tanahashi. Nobody was expecting to be seeing that match freaking last month, at Forbidden Door. So I kind of want them to keep that going. Use this unfortunate opportunity, this unfortunate incident that happened with CM Punk to, really spice up John Moxley as interim AEW World Champion. But anyways, I kind of went in a different path there today. But thank you so much to Manuel Cifuentes for sending in that super chat here today. We got more people here, kind of talking about all of this. This is a comment from Joseph. He says, don't watch shows like this. Off you saw AEW from what you saw. Let's see. Oh, I did not. Oh, this was a mean comment. I thought it was going to be a nice comment. Oh, man, Joseph, I wanted to give you some time on here. I need to start reading the comments completely. Let's get some more in here. Let's see. This one's from Andrew, who says, they made it a nice moment for Wardlow winning the TNT belt, even if some momentum had been lost. If Wardlow defends often enough, he can pick up momentum again easily. I completely agree. That momentum can be grabbed right away. Completely right away there. Let me get some more. I'm gonna read the whole thing now, guys. I'm gonna read the whole thing. This is from Justin, who says, kind of sad Sky's reign was so short, but the history of the TNT title is full of short reigns. It was the right time to go with Wardlow as champion. I think timing is 100% the thing to talk about in regards to this. It was Wardlow's time, and you have to capitalize on that. You have to capitalize on that, and they did. And let's see, this is from Haj Gulashi, who says Sky getting the bout was delayed because he was hurt. I think he was indeed supposed to have it sooner, or have it longer rather. And let's get some more topics here. And we got some people also, talking about the booking of Scorpio Sky because, he's been associated with Dan Lambert for so long and all of that. Let's see what else we got. This one is from 554K, who says that was a really good match, and he agrees with mostly it being a normal match besides the title belt being used and the low blow. Mostly the street fight was caused outside interference. Yep, exactly. Besides the outside interference, there really wasn't much there. But we got a super chat here from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much to Sheldon, who says, I feel bad for Scorpio Sky because he could have been a good babyface TNT champion after his ladder match with Sammy, but instead keep him heel and lose all his momentum. And there was a tease, of Scorpio Sky turning babyface when he was doing that whole thing with Frankie Kazarian, but in the end they kept him aligned with the Men of the Year and with Dan Lambert and all of that. So there was a huge possibility there for Scorpio Sky, but it seems like they didn't want to go that direction, even though we did have that tease, it felt good. I wanted to see Scorpio Sky turn babyface and have this babyface reaction in Los Angeles, because it was after that tease that a couple weeks later, I forgot what the time frame was, but later is when they went to Los Angeles and did the Forum show. So yeah, I do kind of feel bad for Scorpio Sky here. I think they could have, he could have had more of a moment, but honestly, it was time for Wardlow. We couldn't wait any longer. It was time for Wardlow. Was his moment, guys. We got a super chat here from the Cooge97, who says, El Toro Blanco, Rush versus Penta El Cero Miedo. Tony Khan loves El Cooge. I've been calling for this match for more than a year, and I'm in Lucha heaven. I cannot wait to talk about this match because this was a phenomenal phenomenal match and a good singles debut for Rush here on AEW. So thank you so much to the Cooch 97. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here, guys. And let's go ahead and get into after this. Let's get into this one here. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. So get these thoughts ready here. Christian Cage's promo. Now, for the last, 2 weeks now that Christian Cage, it's been 2 weeks now, 3 weeks since Christian Cage turned on Jungle Boy. And then the last 2 weeks, we've been getting these back-to-back, really savage, really brutal, and brutal in a mean way, promos from Christian Cage. They've been great, but they've been brutal in terms of being just so mean to Jungle Boy. Now, some of the things that have been touched on is his father's death. That was savage, very savage. And he mentions his mother wanting, alluding to some inappropriateness with Jungle Boy's mother. And so this week, when he comes out, I'm thinking, what the hell? What can Christian Cage say now? Like, the guy has pretty much, he's pretty much said all that he can say. And this is something that was even reiterated by, commentary where they were saying the exact same thing. What is there left for Christian Cage to say? Well, Christian Cage comes out along with Luchasaurus. He gets there and he starts talking about, he seems like he's going to start telling us why Luchasaurus chose to align himself with Christian Cage. But before he can get to all of that, he's interrupted by Matt Hardy. Now, we get Matt Hardy comes out, and Matt Hardy starts basically saying that Christian Cage is the Michael Jordan of being an asshole. He tells him that, Jungle Boy did not deserve what Christian Cage did to him. And so, he's coming out here and he's standing up for a Jungle Boy. But Christian Cage goes in an entirely different direction. So he starts getting upset at Matt Hardy because he starts saying, like, you're coming out here and you're defending Jungle Boy because, you think you know him better than myself. You think you know him better than Luchasaurus. And he's basically saying, like, no, you don't. And then he says, quote, "You're starting to make your brother sound like the sober one." So we all know what's been going on with Jeff Hardy. He was, arrested, DUI. We all saw the video. It was not a good thing, and it was not a good look. And it has been something that has been talked about for a bit now. So continuing on, because it doesn't end there. Afterwards, Christian Cage starts calling Matt Hardy a clout chaser, says that he's always using his kids, his wife, his dog Sparky, to basically get his name in the headlines, that because he cannot go, minutes without getting his name in the headlines. Okay. So then he continues on to say, quote, "You turn a blind eye to your brother and his issues just so you can ride his coattails for one last run." So now, these are things that have been brought up by people on the internet, because you guys know how the internet is. There have been comments like this, said to Matt Hardy and his wife about them essentially being, God, I forgot what the word that they used, but not enablers. There you go. That was the word. And I know Rebby even did a whole video in response to people saying this about them, being called enablers and all of that. So the fact that they incorporated this into the story here, it really, on the wrestling side of things, I'm here for it, man. I, for the most part, don't feel like if it's not hurting anybody and it's not, gonna be insulting to anybody. Like, let's say, I don't know, for example, last week when Christian Cage said the line about Jungle Boy's father, like, for me, if Jungle Boy is okay with, his father that passed away being brought up in this, then by all means, fine. If he's fine with it, sure, why not? With this situation with the Jeff Hardy stuff, it works in sense. It works here because they have Christian Cage really at this point, he's really leveled up in terms of what he's saying on these promos. Like, what can be worse than bringing up someone's real dead father? Like, where do you go? Like, where do you go from there? I can't think of anything worse. So then he has to obviously, throw this at Matt Hardy. The only reason, so I'm like torn on this. Like, I love it from like the wrestling side of things, where I'm like, this is great for Christian Cage and this is great for his character and it's great for a reaction and this and that. But with that being said, I don't want it to lead to into any of this like alcohol abuse situation. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, if this is the end of it in terms of like what the comments that are being made about Jeff Hardy, fine, whatever. But like, in no way do I want it to be like used to like I don't want it to get uncomfortable. Like, this was more so like, oh shit, like he went there, and you can argue that that was uncomfortable, but I think it could get other levels of uncomfortable. And that's where I would be like, oh, I'm not totally on board with that. So I feel like right now it did its purpose in terms of like the oohs and the ahs. But if there are people that argue that this was a little bit untasteful, I don't fault them for that. But Christian Cage found a way to kind of top himself with some of the stuff that he was saying, before. Now, a couple of people on my Twitter were basically bringing up like, oh, is Christian Cage the new MJF here on AEW? That could be like a thing. MJF has said some stuff. He's said some stuff. And, some has been a hit. Some has actually ruffled some feathers amongst fans. We've seen that, but it worked for MJF and who MJF was. And here for Christian Cage, it's working, I think. And a lot of people are responding, at least from what I've been seeing on my timeline. People are responding to it in a positive way because they feel that, I feel that Christian Cage is legitimately a really great freaking heel. And he's a great talker. We've seen it in the past too with a lot of the stuff that he did on Impact. I really loved a lot of the work that he did there. So it's really no surprise that Christian Cage can do this type of stuff. But regardless, it was a little bit like, holy shit, like I like it. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how to react to it. I don't know how to react to it because this is a real issue and it's a recent issue. So anyways, let's see how you guys felt about this and all of that. This is a super chat from Austin Baker. Thank you so much to Austin, who says, as Christian said, outwork everyone. Yep, he's coming out here. He's outworking them here on this microphone because he's been saying some of the most memorable things on the mic. That's for sure. Thank you so much to Austin for sending in the super chat. Once again, guys, if you do want to get your question, comment, or statement and also help support me on the show, F4W Online does allow me to keep whatever money I make from super chats after YouTube takes their cut. So you are more than welcome to send those in. And let's see what else we got here. So let's see what people are saying. This is going to be a tough one, guys, because I think there's going to be a lot of, let's see what people are saying. Let's get some stuff in here. This is from Keller Girl, who says, when WWE brought up Jeff's issues and storylines, Matt had an issue with it. So it's okay in Matt's eyes for AEW to do it. Kind of hypocritical of Matt, in my opinion, says Keller Girl. We got, let's see what else. We got Mega Daffy saying WWE made a mockery of it. AEW is not. Let's see what else we got. This is from Doppelganger, who says, it's like creative had all these sick comments for MJF, but he left, so they gave them to Christian. No, I think this is Christian. Like, this is, to me, I'm just going to throw out, this to me is all Christian, like, coming up with this stuff. I don't think that, this is Christian, like Christian's own doing. At least that's my perspective of that. And this is from 554K, who says that promo was really great. I mean, it got a lot of heel heat, but I assume that both Matt and Jeff gave the okay for that promo. But if they did not okay it, then it's different. And I agree with you. And let's see what else we got here. Again, more people saying if it's cleared with Matt, then, obviously they don't mind it. And that's kind of my thought process on this too. Like, if it's cleared with people and nobody's getting hurt, then fine. Let's see what else we got here. This is from Youngblood Ginger, who says, I feel like Christian is one of those few people who could get a pass due to their history together. They have a huge history together, a huge history together. This is from Timothy Page, who says, Jeff showed up on table for 3 drinking wine. He made fun of himself, so everyone has license to do the same. I did not see that table of 3, so I don't really want to comment because I didn't see it, and I would rather see it and like see the context of it before I actually, do something. And guys, it's official. We've been invaded by the porn bots. The porn bots are back. Let's block the porn bots. Give me 1 second, guys. Porn bots have been blocked. All right, so let's go ahead and get some more thoughts in here and see what people are saying. This is from Andrew, who says, letting Christian talk every week to keep a feud on TV while Jungle Boy recovers from injury is ratings gold, and bringing out Matt to give Christian a new target helps him avoid getting repetitive. This is true because, again, what were we all thinking? What the hell is there left for Christian Cage to say? Like, what is there left to say? Fernando brings up that Christian is doing some of the best work of his life. Different type of work, but still very good stuff there. All good stuff there. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and continue this on. Once again, if you're watching this on a replay, let us know how you guys felt about the Christian Cage comments on Jeff Hardy. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was not cool? I don't know. Let me know in the comments section. But now, let's get into our next topic here. Let's get into the next match. Let's get into Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus the Butcher and the Blade. I thought for the most part this was a fun match, fun ending to Swerve and Keith Lee have really been like an explosive team. At Forbidden Door, they were one of the, teams that legitimately, or talents or stars, whatever, they legitimately got like a pretty damn good response from the people, from the crowd at Forbidden Door. That match was a lot of fun and people really, really dug it. So I've been really liking what they've been doing together. This match, it was fun. It wasn't like the very best. It wasn't my favorite from what I've seen from Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, but it was still okay nonetheless. But the match itself to me was a little bit forgettable, though, is what I'm trying to get at. But what I want to talk about here is the post-match stuff that occurred afterwards, because after Swerve and Keith Lee get the win, we have Hobbs and Starks who come out, and, they've been feuding for quite some time now. This has been a thing. And so they come out, and dude, Starks is so freaking great on the mic, man. The guy is underrated, in my opinion. And, he basically says that they're pissing them off. And he's freaking fired up, man. Like, he kind of had like the Sanjay Dutt vibe when Sanjay just goes all crazy and he's like uncontrollable and shit, and then all of a sudden, like, you don't even know what he's saying anymore. That's what Starks felt like to me today. But anyways, he starts saying how they're not on their level and this and that. The Young Bucks, they come out and they end up offering a triple or nothing match. So basically what we're going to be getting at Fyter Fest Night 1, which is taking place next week, we are going to be getting Hobbs and Starks versus Swerve and Lee versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships in a 3-way. So personally, I think this is going to be a really good match. I'm pretty damn happy that they made this match. So far, we only know 2 matches that are going to be on the show for next week, and this one by far is, to me, the one that I'm legitimately excited about. So, I mean, I wouldn't like it. Here's the thing. I know some people are like completely over with the Young Bucks being champions, but I don't mind the Young Bucks being champions. But I do think I'm not expecting a title change. But if there was a title change, I want it to be with Swerve and Lee. But I'm really, truly not expecting a title change. Let's see what people are saying here. This is a super chat from Jakeinator 722. Thank you so much to Jake, who says, just signed on. I don't like having real life struggles into storylines. Didn't like WWE doing it to Jeff and Jey Uso. I don't like it now in AEW. And that's fair. That is totally and completely fair. I mentioned this earlier, that it really just depends on your outlook of things. If there are certain things that you're like, maybe they went too far, maybe they didn't. I really do think that it depends on the person. I think for me, it's more so of like, and this is in no, like, here's the thing. They're like, AEW today was not by any means saying that they approve of Jeff Hardy's actions. By no means were they doing that. But when you do use it sometimes, when you incorporate it into the storyline, it does kind of feel like, oh, we're bringing that up. Like, that was just so, like, it makes you angry. Like, it makes you angry to think that, Jeff Hardy went out there and endangered people's lives driving drunk. And I don't think a lot of people, I don't know what people are saying, but it should make you angry. Like, I'm sorry, but the road is for everybody. And I don't want, people going out there driving drunk. I'm completely against that. And obviously, I don't think anybody here is for drinking. Nobody here is for, drunk driving whatsoever. But I can see why it would make, having the subject being brought up, in here make some people go like, nah, dude, that ain't for me, because this is some serious shit that, is very upsetting to see happen. And, we want to put an end to that. And unfortunately, no matter what people do, there are still people that go out there and, drunk drive, which is very freaking upsetting. But thank you so much to Jake for sending in this super chat. And let's get some more comments in here and see what people are saying. And let's see. And this is from Go J Tron, who says, these two great teams keep losing title matches when people want to see it. All Out is a long way for the FTR consolidation. I can see that. And we did get the FTR chance during this, but they quickly tried to shut that down. Young Bucks reacted to that, but the crowd was going nuts, chanting for FTR, etc. All right, so let's go ahead and continue this on. Mac Hensley also brings up, he loves the crowd chanting FTR when the Bucks tried to say they were the best tag team. Gotta say, I agree with the crowd. Hey, man, to me, they're two totally different tag teams, FTR and the Young Bucks. It depends on what your style is, what your preferred flavor is. But I just think that they're on different levels right now, and they're doing different things, but that's not to take away from the Young Bucks, because the Young Bucks have gotten incredibly popular for a reason. But with that being said, FTR is kind of on the ride of their life right now in terms of the work that they are doing. It's like the ride of their life. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. So let's see. After this, we got the Eddie Kingston interview. He comes out. He congratulates Wardlow. He congratulates all the winners of Blood and Guts, including Claudio Castagnoli. Cool. But then he starts addressing Chris Jericho. And he says that Chris Jericho made him a liar because he didn't get to taste his blood and he didn't get to make him bleed. So Jericho pops up on the screen. This was reportedly a pre-tape, FYI. But Jericho pops up on the big screen, and they show the Jericho Appreciation Society backstage in the parking lot with their, big old car there. And Ty Conti they basically beat up Ruby Soho at this point. So she's already there, beat up from whatever happened that we didn't get to see. And she ends up slamming the car door on her hands. And let me tell you something. A lot of people have accidentally trapped their finger or something on a car door, and it is very, very painful. Or even if it's like a drawer is painful. Smashing your fingers on a drawer, are you kidding me? So this is, I really like this because it's not one of those things where you can I don't have to suspend my disbelief of oh my God, did this really hurt somebody? No, I liked it. It was simple. They, made a statement on Ruby Soho and basically said, this could be you, Eddie Kingston. I think he said next week or something. I forgot if he said next week or in the future. I don't know if he gave a time frame. Am I making that up? I don't know. I forgot what Chris Jericho said, but he basically directed it back to Eddie Kingston and told him you're next, that sort of thing. Anyways, fine. Good little segment. Great. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's get into Dark Order. So Dark Order comes out, they're in Rochester, Brody Lee's hometown. So this was more so of just, I think, to give, just to give -1 something on the show, give the people something, for Brody Lee and his memory and all of that. So this was very straightforward. The Dark Order comes out and they start saying like they have important news for us. And I'm thinking, are they going to break up? Because they kind of made it seem that way. And I'm like, are they going to break up? Why would they do that? Oh, I hope they don't do it here. I kind of had a moment of like, no way, they're not going to break them up. But they teased. It kind of felt like they were going that direction with like the seriousness of it all. Like, we have some news to tell you. Well, the news is basically that Dark Order is, the 6 of them are going to stay together forever. As we all know, Ellen Angels is no longer with AEW. So he says that they're going to begin a new chapter, and then he hands over the microphone to -1 so that he can rather tell the people their new proclamation. Well, we never get to that because QT Marshall comes out and he basically gets all crazy on the microphone, and he starts telling them like, when is this charity case going to be over until you're 18? And, basically being over the moment of -1. And he starts telling them that, he's not his father and this and that. And I got to give kudos to -1 here because, he's a little kid, guys. And he did such a good job with just being like, I'm so pissed, I'm gonna go and fight you, QT. Like, he was doing all like, throwing hands and this and that. And Evil Luna was holding him back, trying to keep him down, and he was kicking, trying to get his hands on QT Marshall. And QT Marshall basically wants to fight him. And commentary said he's 10 years old. I don't know if he's 10 years old. I guess he's 10 years old. He basically challenges a 10-year-old to a fight, QT. And I thought this was freaking hilarious. And then he starts saying that he's going to go get his toys and this and that. It was really cute. It was really funny. In the end, we end up seeing Hangman Page coming out there, having the back of -1. They end up taking out QT Marshall. And in the end, -1 tells them that he could have pinned him, but he is going to wait until he's 19. So in about 9 years, guys, we will be back here talking about this. And there you go. Long-term storytelling. And this is going to pay off in 9 years. Let's wait for it. 9 years. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on from here and see what people are saying. This is from Go J Tron, who says, I love that they gave this the time a second. I love that they gave this the time. A second women's match would have been nice, but the statement that they still matter was nice. I agree. I completely agree. This was a perfectly nice thing to do. They found something just to give it, something, guys. We got people saying, sorry, Denise, that Ruby Soho part was awful. Did people hate it? Did you guys hate it? I think I saw somebody else in here say they hated it too. Oh, man. Did people hate the Ruby Soho spot? Oof. And then also, My Name Is Not Earl also talks about the Colt Cabana situation. If you guys have not seen that yet, Fightful Select reported on the whole thing with Colt Cabana, and you guys can check that out over at Fightful Select, where he talks about some of the stuff that was going down with Colt Cabana and the talent essentially going to bat for Colt Cabana. So that was pretty interesting as well. And so, there's a lot there. And then also a lot of people are also bringing this up, and I'll read this directly from Gerardo Alvarez, who says, they said the 6 of us are here to say Wyatt 6 ? A lot of people are also seeing this as possibly a tease for a Bray Wyatt 6. I do not know. But I have seen a couple people bring this up, or rather bring up this theory. King of Hueco Mundo says, Wyatt 6 is coming. Dark Order, it's getting ready. Well, hey, we never heard the new proclamation. Michael Gaffney says she walked into the door, but it was all right. Did she really? I didn't notice that. Did she walk into the door? I should have replayed that. I didn't notice that. Shit. No way. Did she really? No way. I didn't see that. I didn't notice that. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't notice that. No way. All right. Oh, now I'm going to rewatch it, guys. I got to rewatch this now. I need to rewatch this segment with Ruby Soho and see if she actually walked to the door. Oh, no, not my hand. All right. So let's go ahead and Sorry, my eye got blurry. Couldn't see anything. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here because we still got more to talk about. And the next thing that I'm really excited to talk about here is actually this next match between Penta Oscuro and Rush. Oh, yes. All right, so this match was freaking hot. This was good stuff here. This match was awesome. So anyways, we had a really nice back and forth action between both men here. We saw basically them start off the match with just like slapping each other like back and forth. So that was, they got started right away going in there. We saw they went to the outside. We saw a couple of elbows from both guys, like each one threw an elbow. We saw Rush mocking Penta with the Cero Miedo. And here's the thing about Rush is that everything he does, like even the little things, he does it with a lot of charisma, and he's really good at being cocky. And we saw that play out through this match. We saw him, again, like I said, mocking the Cero Miedo thing, doing push-ups, pinning him with the one boot as he stands up and does his pose. All of that was really cool to see during this match. We saw Penta do his tope con hilo. That was great. We end up seeing Jose and Alex go off on the outside once again, and they start fighting. This is the second time, I believe, that they do this now. My favorite part of this whole entire match, my favorite part was the headbutt exchange. Oh, it was good. Them going back and forth, hitting each other with the headbutts, and then the knee strike to follow at the end. Loved it. Freaking loved it. That was the part where I was like, yes, evil grin. This is where the good stuff is. They continue the chop exchange later on as they continue on in the match. We see Rush hit a senton. Good stuff there. We end up seeing towards the end, we see Penta hit a package pile driver, and he almost gets the 3, but Andrade gets involved, and he puts he puts Rush's foot on the ropes, and so that breaks up the count there. Rush ends up taking off the mask of Penta, and he ends up getting the win here. So again, they're getting their wins in this fashion, excuse me. And I like it, guys. I like it. It gave a really good match. Rush looked great. He looked confident. It was a fun match with Penta. It was a different match too. I really just loved the back and forth, hard hitting action. That was where it was at with the chops, and like I mentioned, the headbutt exchange. All of those exchanges just back and forth to me made it a really, really entertaining match. So anyways, I was a big fan of this, and I'm liking so far what they're doing with La Facción. All right, and let's go ahead and talk about this here. And let's see. By the way, I'm not mispronouncing it. You can say Rush, but I just say Rush to make it easier, guys, and get the show properly done here in terms of like, I'm talking about Rush. I'm going to say Rush, but yes, I know that it's Rush, but I'm going with Rush for this show, guys. It's like when people say Phoenix. I don't like it. I just say Phoenix because we know that it's Phoenix. So there you go. All right. So let's continue on from here and get some more comments. Let's see. This is from R. Riggs, who says, have to say that removing of the mask is getting used way too often, getting very old, very quick. I don't feel that way. It just adds to the heel portion of it. It adds to the, like Rush being a jerk. I love it. And we got more people saying the exact same thing about the mask. So it seems like a lot of people are bothered by this. Same thing with Carlos. We got more people bringing it up. Oh, man. I like it. I don't mind it. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's get into the next match. All right. So I got to be honest with everybody here. This next thing for me has been, there's always going to be that one thing you don't like on a show. For me, this is it. This was the Acclaimed and the Gun Club versus Ruffin It, which was Bear Boulder, Bear Bronson, and Leon Ruffin, Fuego. This, for me, I'm sorry. I know that it's fun to chant ass boys, and it is fun to chant ass boys. I had a great time chanting ass boys in the LA show. I was like, yeah, ass boys. I don't care about the Acclaimed and the Gun Club. I don't care. This is not for me. I've come to the realization that there are going to be certain things that are not for me on the show. And this is it. I just have no interest. I think from the very beginning, this wasn't because it's supposed to be funny with the scissoring and all of this. And I really did try. Sue me, I tried to get into this, but I've come to the conclusion that this is not my kind of comedy. I don't find it funny, and it just feels very, very forced. And so this whole thing, this whole relationship, everything, I tried to like it. I even lied to myself a couple of weeks and told myself that I liked it. I lied to myself. It was all a lie. I don't like it. This is not my comedy. I don't want to say it's like boy stuff because I'm sure there's girls that probably like this, but I look at this and I'm like, no, this isn't for me. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know if it's because of me. I just don't care. I'm not a fan. So basically, to get the gist of what actually happened, instantly, we already saw some friction between the Gun Club and the Acclaimed last week. Very, very, this friendship came and fell apart very fast. Anyways, so Max Caster, who I love seeing him do his raps, and this time he couldn't do them because the mic was taken away from him right away. And so that instantly was brought upon some tension. Then Caster basically is about to get the win for his team. He hits the mic drop, and he's about to get the win, but instead Austin tags himself in and ends up stealing the victory. But getting the victory for their team. Okay, so he gets the win for them. Fine. After this, they start to argue. This leads to them fighting each other. Then Billy Gunn, who last week sided with the Acclaim, this week he's pretending like he's a little bit upset with the Gun Club, like, children don't do this, that kind of thing. And then afterwards, he basically turns on the Acclaim, and I put turns in like air quotes because turned, air quotes, whatever. He turns on them, and basically all along he's still been with the Gun Club. I don't care. I have zero enthusiasm for this one, guys. If you please, someone who actually is into this, give me your thoughts here. Let's see. Oh man. I'm curious if you guys are actually into this. I want to know why, because aside from chanting ass boys, it's not for me, guys. It's not for me. Let's see. Let me get some more comments. This one is from Doppelganger, sad that they didn't hear the rap. Completely agree. We got people saying, Don Chamorro says, no fun allowed. Look, I'm all for the fun stuff, guys, but it's not for me. Dat Chamorro says Denise is a cop. Let's get some more comments here. Let's get some good ones. If you're into this, why are you into this? This is what I want to know. Like, if you're a fan of this, why is it funny? Why is it funny? Kenny D says, Denise, this is all leading to a classic Billy Gunn on a pole match with the Acclaimed versus the Gun Club. Go J Tron says, it's been 2 months from the start to break up now, trying to remember around Double or Nothing. Reductive 92 says, Denise said what she said. Duke Chastrophe says, Scissor Me Daddy Ass was also funny. Sure. Guess it was funny. That's it, guys. See, nobody is telling me besides like these type of things, like why it's funny. It's not for me. You know what? It's not for me. I'm not the demo, guys. I'm not the demo on this one. This ain't in my group, okay? This isn't for me, all right? I'm not in the demo. Oh man, Reductive 92 says, I'm not really interested in it. It's just filler, really. Sure. Andrew says, the scissoring thing is weird, and I think the Guns just made themselves easy to laugh at. That is true. That is true. Go J Tron says they really bought Billy Gunn taking them under their wing. Yeah, this isn't for me, guys. Moving on. Marina Shafir, Nyla Rose versus a team of Thunderstorm, Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. This was a fine match. This was a fine match. I really loved I love the vibe with Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, but it's weird though. Like, I'm a little bit torn. Like, part of me is like, oh, this is cool. They could be like, there's a lot of ideas that they can go with this thunderstorm thing, but we all know what this is going to lead to. They're going to, maybe team. I'm assuming they're going to be teaming for a while. And then finally, when they're like, that's it, then, they're going to turn it around and, have Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, clash once again. And, this will eventually lead to a title match. That's great. That's perfectly fine. So we already really know that. But regardless, I still like the Thunderstorm idea. I think it's really cute and it gives them all something to do on the show. Like, keep Thunder Rosa as your champion, keep her coming out and doing stuff, but don't let us forget about Toni Storm, because we know that she's next in line. She's ready. She's yearning to be champion. We know it. So that feels a little bit predictable, but still perfectly fine there. So I do like the vibe in terms of like they're polar opposites. Like, they don't really look like they have a lot in common, but it works. You're still like, you still root for them. They're both very likable is what I'm trying to get at. I think some of the things that I liked in this, there was a moment where Thunder Rosa was like hitting Shafir with a bunch of shots to the chest and to the midsection. And then afterwards, Toni Storm gets tagged in. But even when Toni Storm and Shafir are going at it, there was a moment when Shafir just turns her attention back to Thunder Rosa and then just like punches her square in the face. Like, even though that caused her to like lose focus on Toni Storm, I kind of like that after Thunder Rosa was getting all these shots in her, Marina Shafir was like, nah, you know what? Here's a punch to the face, because you know what? We ain't good here. I kind of like that. I like that little attitude from Shafir during this. So that was good. Hip attack on Marina from Toni Storm, and Thunder Rosa ends up getting the win for her team. So this was perfectly fine. And I'm excited to see moving forward how they execute the whole storyline between Thunder Storm. All righty. JR Class 13 says we might be getting the women's tag team tourney again. Gerardo Alvarez says, I can see why someone thinks Scissor Me Daddy Ass isn't funny, but I can also see why it's hilarious. See, like, I see why it's supposed to be funny, but I just don't laugh. It's just like a forced laugh for me. It's like a ha, ha, ha. It's not my kind of comedy. All right, moving on from here, let's go ahead and jump into, before we get into the match announcements for all of the upcoming shows, I do want to take a second and remind you guys all to check out Wrestle Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble, everybody. In case you haven't heard, Wrestle Rumble is literally one of the coolest places to win some money during wrestling pay-per-views or premium live events, whatever tickles your pickle. For all major WWE and AEW shows, you can enter their pick'em contest to win some money, freaking money, and other cool prizes. It's just another way that you can literally add an extra layer of fun to your wrestling watching routine. Head on over to WrestleRumble.com, check them out, see how it works. If you're curious and you want to, again, add some intrigue into your pay-per-view watching, this is the place to go. Head on over to WrestleRumble.com. Also, in your preferred social media platform, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, whatever, let them know that you heard about them here on my podcast so that they can know, hey, you know what? I should keep continuing to invest in Denise's show, continue to pay her some money. So make sure you guys let them know you guys heard about them here on my show. Once again, that is WrestleRumble.com. Give them some love, everybody. WrestleRumble.com. Alrighty, and now let's go ahead and we actually got a very generous super chat here from Nick Grosso. Thank you so much to Nick, who says, I don't know where they are going with all these women's teams, but I have a bad feeling it's going to lead to a women's tag titles, and I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, they have quite a bit of, quite a bit of women there on the roster. I just, if they do it, I just hope that they don't do what we see in WWE, where they like tangle up the women's title picture with the women's tag team picture. I do hope that there is a fine line of difference in terms of what we're doing with the women's AEW championship, what we're doing with the women's TBS championship, and what they could possibly do with the tag titles, right? As long as there's like a clear separation for me, I don't like seeing everything get thrown in together, because then I feel like it takes away from certain belts and, certain feuds and all of that when everything kind of gets thrown into one thing. So I hope that if they do it, I hope it's not like a bad thing. I hope that it actually is for the better. Thank you so much to Nick Grasso for sending in this very kind and generous super chat. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. This is actually from Zoe Universal, who says, I'd like to see some collaboration with the ROH Women of Honor division if they end up having tag belts. Yeah, there's a lot of possibility there, guys. A lot of possibility. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of the match announcements that were made. Mercer, let's talk about a Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor. That's going to be happening in Lowell, Massachusetts on July 23rd. We're about 3 weeks away from that. So that's coming up very, very shortly. We got 2 matches that were announced. The first that was announced was Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor TV Championship. I have a feeling that's going to be a really freaking good match. I'm expecting this to be a good match. We got Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia for the ROH Peer Championship. These are, 2 guys that, the fans have really been shipping. This is their chance to basically tell them, hey, you've been shipping us. This is why. And we're going to put on a really good match. They have a really good opportunity here to just make these matches, make these moments for like this new era of guys, this new era of talent. So I think there's going to be a lot of possibility there with the Wheeler Yuta Daniel Garcia match, especially because people have shown interest in both of these guys, both of these young guys. They've showed interest in them. So now it's kind of like, here's why you guys were interested in us, and we're just going to keep giving you what you want. So this is going to be like a nice little matchup there. So that's what we know so far. However, there is probably going to be FTR versus the Briscoes part 2, because after they announced these matches, they had FTR backstage basically challenge the Briscoes to another match. And obviously the last one that they had got like rave reviews. Everybody loved it. It was a banger. And that was the match that everybody was really excited to see, and it lived up to the expectations. So doing this match again, I think a lot of people are going to be like hot for it. I think they're going to be hot for it. All right, so let's go ahead and also talk about the matches that were announced for Rampage. We have Eddie Kingston versus Takesha. We have Serena Deeb versus Mercedes Martinez, Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty versus Gates of Agony, and we got Orange Cassidy versus Tony Nese. I'm trying to think, like, it feels like an okay card, guys. It feels okay. We also have the Fyter Fest Night 1. We have Claudio Castagnoli versus Jake Hager. This one could either be really good or it'll just be a match. And then we're going to have the Young Bucks versus Hobbs and Starks and Swerve and Lee for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which we talked about earlier today. Now, before we get into the main event, everybody, just a friendly reminder that I am live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays here on F4W Online. On Tuesdays, I'm here talking all about NXT 2.0. If you still care, come talk about it with me. On Wednesdays, I am here for AEW Dynamite, and then on Fridays, I am here for Smackdown and Rampage. I will be here this Friday to talk about Smackdown and Rampage. But now let's go ahead and hop into our main event, which was Brody King versus Jon Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship. This was a big, I think this was possibly the biggest match that Brody King has been in terms of like prior to coming into AEW, he was with Ring of Honor, and at that time they weren't really getting a lot of buzz. There really wasn't a lot of viewership for Ring of Honor. So even if he was probably out there having banger matches, probably a lot of people missed it, right? I know I did. I missed it. So not only that, so then he comes into AEW and, he's put into the House of Black, and they've had some pretty great matches and all of that. But this was like, to me, in terms of like singles matches for Brody King, this was really like the most important one from the looks of it, because I mean, come on, you're main eventing Dynamite for the interim AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley. Like, you just check off all these boxes. That's pretty damn huge. So this was honestly the most focus, or like the biggest deal that Brody King has been made to feel like since he came into AEW. Like, when he debuted, obviously when you make a debut, you feel like a big deal and this and that. But after that, there really wasn't like much of like a big deal put on him. But now this today, and especially the build up even to this match, just tonight, I'm talking literally just tonight, with the promos that they did ahead of time, I really like those. Like, everything on Jon Moxley did, and also what like Malachi Black did, the way that he hyped up Brody King. I thought all of that was really good. Commentary, I also want to say, did a really phenomenal job at like making Brody King feel like a big deal in terms of facing Jon Moxley here. And again, this is another one where we were like 99.9% sure positive that Jon Moxley was winning. I don't think a lot of people were actually expecting to see Brody King win. But with that being said, the vignettes and, just commentary and everything that they, him winning on Rampage, all of that did actually add to Brody King. And even though he didn't come out champion or anything like that, I feel that regardless, this was a win-win across the board for Brody King. Now, the match itself, I thought it was fine. It was fine. I want to talk, the only thing here is, and I kind of mentioned this earlier on the show. So when we were talking about Scorpio Sky and Wardlow, if you remember that moment that I mentioned earlier when Scorpio Sky hit Wardlow with the TNT championship, and I had that slight moment where I'm like, oh shit, what if they don't have Wardlow win? Today, when they did the near fall, from Brody, Brody hit the pile driver on Moxley and then they went for a near fall. The crowd didn't really fall for it though. Like, that was the one thing where I'm like, they didn't successfully convince the crowd, to me, in my opinion, at any moment that there was a chance that Brody King was actually going to win this match. So that was the one thing where I kind of felt like they didn't make you feel like there was a moment in there where Brody King might actually win. So that was the one thing that kind of kept the match a little flat for me. Like, there wasn't like I think my interest for the most part was pretty, it was a straightforward line, in the sense that I didn't peak at any point during this match where I thought, oh man, this is gonna, be a surprise or anything like that. I wasn't really expecting it. Love the cannonball from King. That was great too. Moxley hits the paradigm shift. Moxley hits in the hammers in the elbows. Hammers in the elbows, excuse me. Moxley gets the win as expected. An okay match, a fine match. I didn't think it was a great match. On top of that, because the show did do an overrun, this ended very quickly. Very quickly. I didn't even get to the second we got the 3. I didn't see anything after that. My DVR cut off immediately. They was like, that's it. We're done. I didn't even hear commentary close out the show or anything. So immediately I posted on Twitter. I'm like, did I miss anything? Did anything happen after this? Did anything happen? But no, nothing happened. Moxley wins. That's it. So yeah, that was that match. Let's see what people are saying here. We got a super chat from Christopher S. Thank you so much to Christopher, who says, I'm telling you, when Keith Lee is 100%, he can be a big headliner for AEW. He connects. He can do a 5-star matches. His gimmick can click as a champ. Dude, there's so much potential there with Keith Lee. I think that, right now what he's doing with Swerve is really, really good. And I want to see that. I want to see that play out. Let's let it play out. Let's see what it can be, as a team. Thank you so much to Christopher for also sending in this super chat here today. And all right, so let's go ahead and get some more comments here. And this is from Justin, who says, every bit the hard-hitting battle you thought it would be. King looks strong in defeat. Moxley is the perfect guy to be interim champ. And let's see what else we got. This is from Andrew, who says the main event was a solid match, but I couldn't get into it as much as I would have liked, maybe because I haven't seen Brody King wrestle much. Still good to see Mox defend versus a big credible opponent. 554K says the promo was great. It was really an okay match. I would give the promo about a 6 out of 10 and the match about a 5 out of 10. Ooh, that's pretty low. But I don't disagree with you. I'd probably be a little bit more harsher if I was rating on a scale of 10. All right, so there you go. In terms of that was the main event for AEW. That was AEW here today. Next week we'll be talking about Fyter Fest Night 1. But guys, that was the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I go, please do not forget to head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I have officially surpassed 60,000 subscribers, and I am making my way onwards and upwards. All of the Forbidden Door media scrums are up there. I have a recent interview with Malachi Black, which was a pretty good one. Like, people really liked it. But the one that I really, really loved, and I feel it deserves so much more love, is the Rocky Romero interview that I did with him. That one was great because he provided so much insight between the relationship between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he really is, that person in between Tony Khan and Ghetto. So he was, knows the full thing of everything that went down. And he really provided, like I said, a lot of insight on the pay-per-view and the relationship between both companies in that interview. On top of that, there's stuff with Bianca Belair from this weekend at Money in the Bank. That was a pretty, I love chatting with her. Obviously, it was only a couple of minutes, but she gave me a lot in those couple of minutes. And there's also like Tasha Steelz. I spoke to her. Brian Pillman Jr., I spoke to him. There's a lot of content being put up there. So please make sure to check that out. Thank you so much to 554K for sending this a very generous super chat in as well. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Thank you so much for the support. Please let people know that you guys check out this podcast. Help me spread the word. Subscribe to F4W Online, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye, everyone.